You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 343. I lost my chance at love. My ex was everything I ever wanted. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. How are you doing? I love you. I hope you're having an okay week. Honestly, I hope you're having a great week, but I know sometimes that can be frustrating when I'm like, I hope you're doing so great. And clearly you're listening to the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast because maybe you're going through like the most epic heartbreak of your life. So I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you the most biggest, delicious hug in the entire world. Now, before we get started, you guys, something epic has happened. We have opened the doors. We have officially opened the doors to the Get Over Your Ex program today, June 1st. I am so excited. So the Get Over Your Ex program is open for enrollment again. I am so pumped. I haven't done a live training in forever. And so we did a live training and we opened the doors to Get Over Your Ex. I'm so pumped. So inside of the Get Over Your Ex program, we get over your ex in 90 days or less, meaning zero desire, zero attachment, no longer being at the effect of your ex in any way. And most importantly, you are building and living a bigger and better life than the one that you had with your ex. So perhaps that is all about meeting your husband. Maybe you're wanting to make that career change or buying your dream home, whatever your bigger and better life is that you feel like is not available without your ex, we go out and we build it. So if you know you want to work with me to guarantee being over your ex in 90 days from now, you can enroll at dorothyabjohnson.com/getoveryourex. The link will be in the show notes. And as a fun little bonus surprise, this week and next week, we're going to be releasing daily episodes. So I love hanging out with you guys. I love being able to be there for you during a hard time. And if you just can't get enough of the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast, you are in for a treat because you're going to have 10 episodes in 14 days. So this is going to be epic. It's going to be so fun. I'm going to be sharing my point of view on a lot of different breakup topics, and it's going to be delicious AF. Eek, so excited. Okay. So let's dive into today's episode. It is a delicious one. It's so good. Today, I want to talk to you about, it's really kind of two topics. I probably should have split these into two different episodes, but I do feel like they go hand in hand. I want to talk to you about when you feel like you've lost your chance at love because you felt like your ex was everything that you wanted, right? So you might feel like your ex was truly everything that you ever wanted and now he's gone. I get chills when I talk about this because this was me. I truly felt back in 2016, which I can't believe is 10 years ago. I feel kind of old saying that. I felt like my ex was everything that I ever wanted. Like it was the first time I felt like I was with an adult man, which now I look back and I'm like, he was not. But at the time, it felt like he was more responsible than me. At least I felt like I was very irresponsible and he was just so responsible and I felt cared for and taken care of. I felt financially stable, even though we weren't technically exactly financially. He's in dental school, I'm in grad school. We both had like almost no money. But for some reason, I just felt cared for. And I felt like if something went wrong, he always knew how to handle it. And I felt like it was this safety net that I had maybe never really felt before in my life. And I was like, that is what marriage feels like. And that's what I want my partner to feel like. And so even though we both had flaws and had things that didn't go exactly right, or like I would be like, that's not something I love, most of the time, I would say 90 to 95% of the time, he had all the qualities that I thought I wanted in a partner. Now, ultimately, he didn't want to be with me. Dun, 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 right? He chose to leave our relationship to be with someone else. So painful. And at this point now, I've been doing this work for almost 10 years, a decade, and I've helped hundreds of women coming from such a similar situation as mine. It's crazy. right? Their ex was everything they ever wanted in a partner, but their ex didn't actually want to be with them. And I think we need to really look at this and see what it creates for our experience, because our experience is the only experience we have control over. And honestly, to be very frank, it's the only experience that really matters. We only have control over our experience, which means that is the one that matters the most. So if you're feeling like you lost your chance at love and that your ex was everything you ever wanted, think about how that makes you feel, like in your body. Now, for me, when I felt like I lost my chance of love because my ex was like the only person who had all these qualities, and he clearly had all the qualities that I wanted in a partner, for me, I felt kind of like forgotten. I don't know if that resonates with you guys. Did you guys feel forgotten? I felt forgotten, deflated, hopeless. I also felt less than because there was this new girl. I felt inadequate. I would compare myself to her. God, she was so perfect. And when I felt that way, I would find myself showing up in a way that aligned with those emotional experiences, right? I would look at everyone who had what I didn't and I would compare to them. I would compare myself to the new girl. I would berate myself about how I should have been better in the relationship. I remember so clearly and vividly standing in my bathroom, looking at myself, picking myself apart, wishing that I was skinnier, wishing that I was more flexible. And then also just like crying in my bathroom, like praying to God, like, dear God, please give me one more chance with him. I promise I will not fuck it up this time. I promise. Please give me one more shot. Please, please, please. And you know what's interesting is in 2014, 2 years prior to that, he had broken up with me and we were separated for like 3 or 4 months. He was with another girl, which I should have seen it coming now that we're talking about that, but that's beside the point. He was with another girl at that time too. And I did the same thing where I prayed in my bathroom to have another shot and I wouldn't mess it up. And I got it. He ended up like writing me a letter and saying that he messed up and blah, 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 blah. So I got back together with him in 2014 and then we worked out until 2016. So that had worked before. I was open to it working again, you know? But it's not a great spot to be in. I'm sure you get it, the feeling of that. And here's what I want to call out, and it may seem like super simple, but this is so important. The fact that our ex didn't want to be with us is the part that makes the thought he was everything I ever wanted incorrect. It's actually an incorrect statement because we want someone who wants to be with us. I don't know if maybe you've never experienced this, but I have experienced being in a partnership with someone who didn't actually want to be with me. And that was so painful. Like you can feel it. You know when someone doesn't want to be around you, is kind of like annoyed that they even have to like deal with you. It's really not fun. So it's important to find a partner who's like obsessed with being with you and who likes to be around you. You know what I mean? So the fact that our ex didn't want to be with us is the part that makes the thought he was everything I wanted incorrect. Now, I share all the time here on the podcast that it's not really about believing thoughts that are true or not true. Because everything is true or nothing is true. True isn't a real thing. It's about what serves us and where we are going. We want to believe thoughts that serve us and move us forward in life, not necessarily thoughts that are true or not true. And I'll give you an example to help our little minds, our beautiful brains, understand this a little bit. So the Wright brothers, do you know them? They wanted to fly, right? They were like, we believe in humans flying. People can fly. And to the rest of the world, that seems crazy. And to believe humans can fly, most people would say that was like an incorrect or a false statement, right? At that time, that was a false statement. That was not true. However, to create something that's never existed before, we have to believe in it. And what served the Wright brothers in creating humans flying was to believe that humans can fly. And they were deemed crazy until they were genius. And personally, y'all, I am at this place in my life where I'm 36. I'm like, I can't live and operate by societal rules anymore. I literally cannot people please another second. I cannot operate by other people's rules anymore. I am going to operate in my life in a way where like, I really don't mind seeming crazy, because the things that I've done in my past that was seemingly crazy, becoming a breakup coach, have been the biggest, most amazing, beautiful blessings in my life. So I don't mind seeming crazy to have the opportunity to prove myself and others wrong and create extraordinary things that have never existed before. Now, listen, deep breath. I realize not all of us operate like that. I realize that not all of us want to do that. So if we want to look at true or not true things, this statement or thought of my ex was everything I ever wanted is not factually true. A more accurate statement would be my ex was almost everything I ever wanted. Try that on. How does that feel? Because there is always one reason that you're not together right now. And to play devil's advocate here, next week on Monday, you'll hear from a Braveheart alumni, Sam. She's going to come on and she's going to share her experience where she was actually the person to leave, which I know I primarily, I feel like I probably attract a lot of women who were blindsided and left and their ex moved on quickly to someone new, because that was my experience. But I've worked with all different types of breakups. So she's someone where she was actually the person to leave, but she felt forced to leave and she hated it because her ex was like perfect. He had everything she wanted, except she wanted to get married and he didn't. He was just like, I am fine going my whole life without ever getting married. And it was hard for her, right? Like, how do we dare leave under that circumstance? Can we just get okay with that one thing? Can we just get okay with letting go of the authentic desire we have in life to be with this person who's pretty much everything else? Could I just get okay with not getting married for the rest of my life, but then I have a partner who has almost everything else, right? And we're going to talk about that next Monday because, spoiler alert, actually, I won't. Long story short, he ends up getting engaged when he didn't believe in marriage. I mean, can we just, what? And she didn't even flinch though. So we're going to talk about how she got to that place. I think it's a really profound episode. It's going to be so good. Now, what we are looking at today is technically two thoughts. And remember y'all, thoughts create feelings. Those feelings fuel behaviors, and then those behaviors create the results that we have in life or lack thereof. And so the most important part, all of our thoughts are optional. And if they determine your emotional state and the results that you have in your life, it's important to be clear about what are we believing and do we like what it's creating. So thought number one, I lost my chance at love. That is an incorrect statement as well, because how would we ever know until we were dead looking back on our life? We genuinely have no concrete evidence. We could also then state, I might not be alive tomorrow. That's an equally true statement, right? So I think it's really important to look at how that makes you feel. When you're thinking, I lost my chance at love, how do you feel? And then when you're feeling that way, how do you show up in the world and what do you do? And then what do those behaviors and actions create as a result in your life? And most of us will find it's not working. It's not creating the love life that you want. It's not creating more love in your life, which is probably the ultimate outcome that you would desire, right? Now, thought number two is my ex was everything I ever wanted. That is also an equally incorrect statement. A more accurate statement, like we've talked about and discussed, might be my ex was almost everything I ever wanted, but not everything. And I have so many ways I address these two stories inside of the Get Over Your Ex program with my clients. So I wanted to share some of the ways that we address that here on today's episode. So the first thing is the RDA process, right? Reducing desire and attachment to your ex naturally addresses both of those stories. Because when we reduce desire, we realize wow, he wasn't everything. He was a great guy, of course. I pick amazing, great guys. And When we reduce attachment to your ex, it doesn't feel like he's the only one in the world who possesses the qualities you're in love with. So important. The second activity that I think is really helpful here is grading your ex. Grading your ex. We go through a process of listing out everything you've ever wanted in a partner. Then you think of the stuff that you never had before but want in a partner. Then you think about the stuff that your ex did that you didn't like, and you list the opposite. And then we go through and we check off the ones that your ex actually had. And then we give them like a percent and a grade, like A through F, like in school, to determine what grade your ex actually was. Such a helpful activity. The third one is the dating to engaged process. When you learn this process, it really helps you get clear about what you want in a partner by looking at your connection circle and your wants, your want matches. And it helps you determine what is a true want match, what are the true things you need in a partner specifically, and how do we find out if someone has those things early on in your dating process with another human being. Now, the way those three things work is really profound. I had a client who was dating an amazing man. I've had multiple of these, which is like really crazy to me, actually. I had a client who was dating an amazing man, and he had money. He had influence. We are talking about like a man in the 1% of wealth in the world. We're talking about private planes, bougie trips, mansions, like all of the things, cars, like 20 really expensive cars. And so this idea really felt true to this specific client for obvious reasons. They had been together for about 10 years, and eventually he decided to end things with her because of the way that she was responding and reacting to some of his poor behavior. Now, he made it a her problem, which is just the worst. I hate when I see this. But also, he was a man who also had a lot of great qualities. They wouldn't have been together for 10 years if he hadn't. So she went ahead, she joined Get Over Your Ex and completed the RDA process entirely, completely reduced desire and attachment to him. When she graded her ex, he was actually a C+, which was super fascinating because she really felt like he was everything. And then she did the dating to engaged process, and she also really addressed her attachment from many angles and became a pilot so that she could fly whenever, wherever she wanted to, which I love that for her. And when she did these things, it really helped her feel free from this idea that he was so amazing and a one-of-a-kind kind of guy, when seemingly to her and honestly the rest of the world, that idea would be quote-unquote true, right? Now, she believed things that served her and created a life that's so much bigger and better than the one that she had with her ex. And now she has truly everything that she like authentically desires, not just the things she thinks she was desiring. Does that make sense? It's so helpful. So if you're struggling, feeling like 1, you lost your chance at love, and 2, felt like your ex was everything you ever wanted, I highly, highly recommend you join us inside of the Get Over Your Ex program right now while the doors are open. We will use the RDA process together to reduce your desire and attachment to your ex so you naturally have no emotional charge to your ex. We will walk through what is it that you truly desire in a partner and grade where your ex falls in that scenario. And then we apply the dating to engaged process to ensure that you're clear on your authentic desires in your next partner and how to identify them and not be at the risk of like love bombing or being fooled by your quote unquote love brain, right? So the doors to the program open today, like I mentioned earlier, June 1st. If you join in the first 48 hours, you get a bonus one-on-one breakup audit call where you and I sit down one-on-one and we go through your specific breakup situation. We're going to create your personalized breakup protocol, and then we build out your 90-day plan so you know exactly what to focus on in the first part of your heartbreak situation to build, a life that's bigger and better than the one that you had with your ex. Now, you can join us at dorothyabjohnson.com/getoveryourex. I'll link it in the show notes. I am so excited to meet you inside. I love you guys so much. Doors close Sunday, June 14th. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.